Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome to another episode of Let's Interview the Finalists for the Dragon Age Season 3 campaign. We have here today Skull. Hi, Skull.
Hello there.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And as you can see, Skull has selected one of my personal friends and buddies, Logan, also known as Lucky Jack 20, my unofficial YouTube boyfriend, as I'd like to think of him as. Yes, that's a thing. That is a thing. How are you doing, Logan?
Oh, doing so good today. Nice weather. Wish I could be outside in the sun with a webcam, but cannot. The cable's not long enough to pull that off yet.
At least you can see the sun, maybe. It's nighttime here.
We'll make it do. We'll make it work.
Yep. So glad to have you both here. All right. Well, without further ado, I will skedaddle out of your way, and Logan, it is your show.
All right. What do you find most engaging in a tabletop campaign? Do you prefer do you like the characters that are pitched in the campaign? Do you like the history, the lore behind whatever setting you're in, the setting itself? Do you prefer certain genres what to you is the apex, the big cornerstone of what makes a story successful to you?
I feel like the apex to me is the collaboration that we do as a group game, which in most role-playing games it is a group game. We're here to collaborate and tell a story together, and that's kind of one of the big moments is the interaction between the PCs and what we do, our diverging opinions, our conversations we have with each other to kind of grow together, but also the GM where he puts up these NPCs, this world setting that he kind of brings up, kind of intrigues me a lot. That's, to me, what is the apex of TRPGs, is just the collaborative work, not just from the players together, but also with the GM who creates everything.
You mentioned in your initial pitch video that you were wanting to introduce a new concept into the party of what's been already seen in Dragon Age with Tirin, your ex-slave character turned doctor, turned pirate, possibly sailor.
I'll explain that.
Yeah. And what I was curious about was, apart from his background, apart from his role and his his past, was there anything else that were there any other elements that you were hoping to want to introduce or bring new to the table through Tirin?
Oh, definitely. There was a lot of elements. I mean, one of the big elements, I'd say, to leave most of his story, for example, a bit ambiguous or a bit open. Stuff like, I never mentioned who his master was, or anything. I never mentioned what his goals were when he came out. So there are elements. I do have some goals in mind, of course, but I feel like his master and even himself, who he is, I wanted to be more revealed as we play throughout the game. Of course, the master had discussed with Hark and in all his secret room of whatever happens in his mind. But it's the idea is I want to build them up as I see play, and so I left a lot of stuff out from my main pitch to see what happens later in the game. So, but most of it, the goals, the master, and a few other stuff like the captain of the Blue Trot, the ship where he kind of sails on. That's to be discussed later.
Okay, all righty. And then my last question I had was, do you have a particular author whose written work inspires what you either enjoy or how you deliver storytelling? For me, in terms of how I did with Lealden, it was kind of a mix between, I liked the formal nature of how Tolkien or J.K. Rowling write works, but in terms of more lighthearted, casual conversation, then I kind of drew inspiration from Terry Pratchett and his Discworld series and stuff with that fantasy setting. So are there any things like that, I guess?
All right, so authors that inspire the character inspire me to into role-playing games. That's the
kind of like that, more with you, in your focus in role-playing games, authors that inspired you.
Yeah. Well, there are two authors actually that kind of inspired me into role-playing games in general, and that was Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson. They were co-writers and also co-writers on a famous, well, sort of famous, choice-driven game books called the Flying Fantasy series.
Hmm.
And those were like the books where I read, and those were the ones that intrigued me to get into like storytelling and into their world and stuff like that, because in those game books, I get to make my choices as a hero, what I'm doing, going through whatever book they put in, whether it's a House of Hell because it's with a cult there, or whether it's the Firetop Mountain to search for a warlock and his treasure. What inspired me from their writings was just the idea of introducing, like showing me through through my eyes, what am I seeing, what am I given, what are my choices, stuff like that. And those really kind of inspire me to do all these things as a role player from my many years of experience. So
All right.
that's what inspires me. And sometimes, even to this day, I might sometimes go back to those books and read through them, or like try to like use them in my adventures.
So I've been running auditions like this and interviews like this for the last 6 years. And because of that, a lot of people have either seen a lot of these interviews or have actually been in those interviews in the past, which is why I am being a bit tougher with my questioning this year. And so my question that I will be asking every single person, not just you, is what is it about this player that I have the biggest reservations about? So with you, this is my personal biggest reservation that I have for you as a player. I will preface this by saying that this is 100% based just on the first impressions that I've gotten from you based on this interview as well as your audition, so a lot of this is speculation. But based on what I have gotten from you right now, I see you as being a very articulate person. I see you as being a very knowledgeable person. You have shown that you know the Dragon Age RPG system very well. You even have some videos on your channel that talks about it. And also graciously have offered to help people on the Discord server, which I think is fantastic. I also am foreseeing that when you're playing, you probably will be not a passive player. You've mentioned that you have also had experience GMing. All of these are great and good things.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is a double-edged sword that goes with all of this, because when you have a player who has all those qualities, they could very easily fall into the trap of overshadowing the other players in the game. There are a lot of people who are auditioning right now who are quieter, more passive, who this is their very first time playing D&D, or excuse me, playing in a tabletop game, period. They might be intimidated by somebody like yourself. So, given that that is my personal biggest reservation about you, what is your response?
My response is that is very understandable. In my line of work as a GM, also I've had those same situations. I've had players who were as very well experienced who would overshadow other players just because they were quiet, didn't know the system, or they barely talked much. So, to my response, I understand. I am active, but I will do my best to let other players, especially newer players, kind of be in the spotlight. The one thing I kind of always had this rule in my mind is every player needs to get a spotlight. There can't be just one player getting the whole show. I've had that experience before myself as a player in one game. I remember that, where I was the one character that was always used, and at some point that character died because I technically killed him because I got tired of that. So I want other players to get the same thing. So my response, yeah, it's understandable. I 100% know the situation, and I will do my best to be helpful, not to just the players, but even to you, Hark, as a guy who's been experienced in the system, and be helpful, yeah, to even the other players in terms of questions of the game, and even to keep my lay off for a bit and let them have their moments.
Can you give a specific example? Like if you notice that somebody is not getting enough, getting enough spotlight and is not speaking up as much, can you give an example of how you can actively help that situation?
I think I try to use my character to, kind of help them, like push them, like maybe have my character ask them that question. Like ask some questions to them, like try to get them engaged by talking, because I think that's one hell of a great thing. We're all PCs here. We're all here to help each other. So let's help. Let me talk to you. Let's converse a bit. Even though this character might not seem like that with Tirin, he actually, that's one of his interests, his goals actually, is trying to make friends because, well, with his life, he didn't have any.
I understand.
Mhm.
All right.
So I guess I'll just start kind of setting up the whole scene then, or is it one of my first times actually doing something like this? Oh boy.
Good luck, man. I trust in you.
Going fine.
You're my only
Okay.
soul.
So, Tirin would be walking along a path in a forest, and you, in the distance, were hearing what sounded like noises of a fairly large, like, conflict or something between, like, at least 5 to 6 people with with another individual. And growing curious about it, you followed towards the sounds, knowing that they had started to like quiet down, sword at the ready, looks like. And then you would then come across a clearing where you would see a number of bodies strewn out along the soil. Some have been gashed and thrown against a tree. 2 are piled up into the grass. And in particular, as you're surveying this, you notice 2 bodies still moving. One is a dark-skinned Kunari who is resting against a tree, cuts but still breathing. Everybody, it's okay. He's still breathing. It's all right now. And then the other body, it would be one of the other human bandits that had presumably attacked this individual, and you can see this by their cloaks, the multitude of various like short daggers and rogue like equipment and stuff. The figure leaning against the tree would notice you approaching.
What? Tyrion rushes, or I kind of rush towards both the Canary and the Bandit Thief, even though, well, kind of still his sword is at his side right now. Still, he kind of looks around and seeing there's no other, like nothing going around, like no creatures, whatever. He will immediately go for his healer's kit that I believe he usually carries around to help others, and he goes up to the Canary. You're right there. Hold on.
I'm fine.
Steady yourself. Damn, you got a lot of cuts on you, man. What happened to you? Yeah, I started looking for like bandages and stitches.
Got a little too casual on the road. Didn't notice them approaching. Figured it was just a simple band of traders, but seems that they had other intentions. That was the last of them, though, except for that one over there. And at this point, Leoden would gesture over to the last bandit, who is still breathing, but very much like not in as good of condition to talk as he is in. He's very close to passing out, and I think got almost every one of them except for him. He went for me. I slashed at his arm, and he has a pretty bad cut in his arm.
Now for here, let me see you first. Though, let me check. Kind of looks over through you. Leoden just has like a bunch of cuts, right? Just a bunch of
simple scrapes and things like that.
All right, you'll be fine probably, but still, he kind of takes out some bandages and he starts kind of bandaging up some of the more
serious
cuts. Yeah, serious cuts. Yeah. I think I just bandage them up a bit. This will at least stop the bleeding for a bit. Let me check on the other one though. Damn it! And I go up to the bandit. Why attack this man? What was your reason? Just to steal?
He is unfortunately unable to speak just because of being like close to it's kind of like a very ragged breathing is all that you're getting out of the bandit. To which I guess Leoden would chime in. They were looking after the sword that I was carrying.
I kind of look at your sword.
It's very shiny.
It's a very
solid.
It is definitely like a sword that is clearly magical, and just from the look of it, it looks very powerful.
I kind of nods as well. Looks like they wanted that sword badly though. But I go over and I kind of kneel on the bandit and I check his the major wound he has and says, "All right, you're gonna be quiet now. You're gonna keep your breathing slow. It will hurt, yes, but at least this will help you and keep you alive." And
Leodin's watching this all very intently,
Mhm.
noting of your procedure and your delicacy with the healer's kit.
Yep, I disinfect the wound, stitch it up, whatever the serious wound he has, and then after kind of that, kind of look over at him, and as long as he's kind of fine and he's still stable, kind of look over to Leo, then I see him kind of watching me. I kind of take a seat as it's what I do. I do not like seeing people who are hurt and in pain. I would rather help others when I can. Though even if he did commit a crime, well, he has to be brought somewhere, right?
I mean, your healing him isn't exactly hurting me any further, but curious. Had he done any worse to me, would that have affected whether or not you would wish to help him?
Why would I? You seem to be a strong, capable man. Why would I need to take from you? And I seem to be in a normal life at the moment. So, I don't see the gains. I'm a mere apprentice, doctor, so.
What's your name?
Tirin Seadov of the Blue Trot.
I'm familiar with that. So I suppose we'll have to take note of the others, and I'll make sure that the one who lives gets taken to the proper authorities.
Let me help you out. This seems like I'm here now. I helped you out. I better continue helping you until everything's been settled. And you might have some other serious wounds that I cannot see. And I'd rather help my patients, if you get my drift.
I appreciate the consideration. I'm more worried for whether or not. I'm more worried that if you should be wasting your supplies on someone like me right now.
Wasting? My job is to help others. It is my duty as an apprentice healer. Why should I not? It's fine. Come here. And I put my hand to Leodin.
And then I guess using his weight as bows, I help stand myself back up.
He struggles a bit, seeing as he doesn't have a lot of strength.
I'm immediately 2 feet, 2 to 3 heads taller, but
you are a strong one, then, that's for sure. Ow.
Probably taking at least double that to bring me down. So, looking to all the other, as he's remarks, looking into all the Feldfoes. The two of them now are walking down the path, but continuing that direction that Leodin was originally heading in before all that kerfuffle happened.
As we were walking, I actually kind of asked, "What is your name?" I did not get it. Or maybe I didn't hear it well. My apologies.
It is Leodin.
Leodin?
Tirin, so you have heard that name. In fact, when you think on it more, you realize that this is Leodin, who is the left hand of the divine, which is a huge deal. He has a man of very high power. You also know that there has been a lot of political / social opinions, high opinions going on about whether or not it has been appropriate to have someone of
right hand.
So I don't know if anything spurs within your head based on that topic or based on whatever your thoughts are about the chantry itself. So
I mentioned out of character, that's alright. It's a bit of Tirin's story, if that's cool. Tirin, well, he is a former slave, so Chantry, he doesn't really have any religious opinions. And you might have heard Leodin actually through the captain, not from his original age, because I remember I have this idea where 19 years of his life, He'd never heard of the outside world until he got out. So
Right.
this is like, to him, this is like past news, and is new to him. And he kind of goes, the Odden, the right hand of the, what's it called, the Divina, the Divine? Sorry, I do not know names. I've only been recently in the society, I guess you can say, of sorts.
I would probably have Leoden react something like, "That is refreshing to not hear somebody gawk about that name anymore." Just because of all this, like, everybody like buzz, it's like, finally someone's like, "Oh, cool, I can just be Leoden to this person right now, not have to worry about." Yes, that Leoden.
Well, do not worry. I am only recently introduced to many of the most famous names. I have been secluded into life, shall we say, for most of my life.
So that would probably, I can say I'm familiar with that sensation of being feeling out of place, feeling completely new to a whole new world. Tell me, where is it that you are going next?
He kind of thinks for a bit, almost like he doesn't know the answer to it. And he kind of says, I do not know. To be honest, I was only trying to go out and help others, see what I can do, and then return back to the crew. I was merely traveling around, see the sights. To be honest, I've never been out of the forest or any of those places before. And you see Tirin kind of goes into he seems like the topic is going a very route that's bringing him some past memories, very dark ones, it seems.
Hoping to instill some confidence or some reassurance. Leoden would catch on to like seeing like your expression, seeing it sort of dip into a more like solemn and like, someone like you, to me, seems like wherever he is going, it is where he is needed. And I have no doubt that where you're going, you will be needed very, very much so.
It seems an important task, I have to say. It feels odd. Never done something important enough. I always felt I was below someone. That was what I always felt. I don't know what will happen to me in the future. Maybe something might change, I don't know. As long as I can help people.
Would it be appropriate for me to let you in on a little secret?
Your secret will be safe with me.
I felt the exact same way too.
Kind of looks up, smiles a bit. Then we are common in some way then.
Our past doesn't limit us.
I think you're right on that. And I look at my kind of my hand is currently covered like it's with a sleeve, and I kind of roll up my sleeve a bit, and you can see under that there's some whip scars done. It says, I guess you're right. Maybe I should forget these at some point. And I cover up my sleeve again. Hello viewers, Tirin Seadov is my name, apprentice healer of the Blue Truck Inn and an intelligent and cunning rogue if need be. My goal in this world is to help and heal others that are needed, to those who are injured by the pain, and to see that they do not get that same pain like what I have experienced before. But if it comes to it, I can dish it out if need be, to those who deserve it. You may see me an odd one, but my intentions are pure and true as they are. But you can trust me on anything that comes, that I'll be by your side till the end if need be. Choose Tirin, and I will be of assistance no matter where it is.